You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
Welcome back to another edition of the OHL 60 podcast. No Reese tonight. He has other commitments going on, busy world with work and so on and so forth with Reese. But thanks for watching. Thanks for watching on YouTube, seeing my face for radio, I guess you could say. And or if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, thanks a lot as well. Hope you enjoy the tonight's show, and it'll be a fun one this week. Jam-packed show. Also, if you're looking for articles, stay tuned to social media at the Armchair GM Sports Network, at the OHL 60 podcast. Go to see on social media, see the highlights of this week's show, see highlights of past shows. And hey, maybe you want to send your buddy or something a debate that Reese and I or BC's, something that we've had lately, and you want to get involved as well. Go on there, comment, give your thoughts on the on what's going on with your favorite team in the Ontario Hockey League, because that's what makes the league so great, and that's why we're here. As always, BC, thanks for producing in the clouds. But yeah, big show this week. We got some reaction, a little bit of reaction from the Prospects game. We'll touch on that. We touched on that on Wednesday night post game. You can get that on the Armchair GM Sports Network as well, or on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast, you can get that. But yeah, big show this week. We got New Year's resolutions at the tail end of the show today, where I go on a little rant about what I would do, what my New Year's resolution is for your favorite team. Let us know as well. There's going to be a lot of discussion on this. Hopefully you guys are involved. Let us know. Comment section on social media, Armchair GM Sports Network, at the OHL 60 podcast. Let us know on X, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you listen. Let us know wherever you're on social media. Let us know what you think of what your team's New Year's resolution should be. We have OHL Headlines. We have 300 Club. It's been a while since we've had a 300 Club. We'll touch on that in headlines here in a few minutes. We have Nathan Aspinal, underrated with the Flint Firebirds. I mean, goes back to what Brian said on the trade deadline show last Friday. Is he underrated? Where was his invite to Team Canada? That's really stuck with me since that interview. Shout out to Brian Gardner on that one. I've been thinking about that all week. He has a big weekend again. Nathan Aspinal, leading point getter in the Ontario Hockey League. But is he still underrated? Is he the most underrated star in the OHL right now? In my opinion, I say, heck yeah. We'll get to that Twitter poll in a few minutes. Players of the week, and as always, we'll round things out with an updated OHL power rankings, which is always a great discussion, BC. It's always great. The power rankings is always fun on the social media, in the social media world, I should say, when things go on. But that's going to be the show today. I mean, it's going to be jam-packed, and it's always fun to chat OHL hockey here, as always. But, yeah, first off, reaction from the trade deadline show. The trade deadline show, 3-hour show. You can get it on YouTube wherever you listen to the podcast. Go back, tune into that jam-packed episode. Thanks to the gentleman that joined us throughout the Ontario Hockey League. Many names that have joined us. Thanks for those who listened. It was a big one, and I think that it kind of leads up to hopefully the planned draft show at the OHL draft this June coming up, because I think that was a good stepping stone for the network, Brandon, for the OHL 60 podcast. I think that was a great stepping stone leading into the draft and just showing what we're capable of doing. And thanks to everyone who listened. I mean, we don't do it if it's not for you guys, and love the OHL for a reason. So that's a blast. And yeah, that was really fun. I mean, jam-packed. There wasn't a lot of trades on Friday, but there's a lot going into it. We had the trade horn. So if you missed that, it's 3 hours long. If you have time throughout your day, maybe you have a long drive, go listen to, or you can listen to on your podcast platforms. Go back, watch on YouTube. There's a jam-packed show. So if you missed out on the deadline show and you want to hear what we had to say about your team's deadline, you can do that. And if you don't want to hear about it, go to the armchairgm.com. Go there, check our article out. Joel Vanderland and myself produced an article about every deadline move that happened. We went through each team, gave analysis on each team's. So if you want to go there, go to armchairgmsportsnetwork.com. Get the article there as well. If you don't want to listen for that long, there's an article form as well. Very informative, and hope you guys enjoy. But yeah, fun one. We'll get to the headlines now, but very fun. A lot going on the network right now, Brandon, as you know.
Oh yeah.
You did a great job over there, and there's a lot of OHL content over on the armchairgmsportsnetwork.com. So go to the website and tune in. But yeah,
and Joel Vanderland's doing a lot of good articles for us as well.
Yeah, he is. I mean, Joel's a beauty, one of my good friends, and great hockey knowledge. I mean, he has a new social media as well, Joel Vanderland Hockey, or Vanderland Hockey as well on Instagram. Check that out there. I know he's gonna have a lot of his articles there. Anyone a fan of the OJHL, I know he does a great job as well with the Trenton Golden Hawks in the OJHL out there in Trenton. But yeah, shout out to Joel. Joel does a great job. Definitely needed his help with the articles. I'm not too much of a writer, as anyone that's been listening to the OHL 60 podcast over the last 5 years plus. I'm a talker. I'm not a good writer. I'm a talker. So stay tuned for that. But I struggle on that. But no, it's huge to work with Joel. I mean, great guy. Always good. But yeah, on to the headlines. It was a busy week in the OHL. And we're going to start with Brian Bellows, who goes into the Legacy Wall in Kitchener in the auditorium last Friday night. What an honor, right? He follows Pete DeBoer, who went back there in November, who got up on the wall in November. And two great people, great big influences in our game in the Ontario Hockey League on to the National Hockey League level, obviously. Two great ambassadors of the Kitchener Rangers organization. They've done a tremendous job there in Kitchener with their alumni. And I mean, this is a huge step forward on kind of being a trendsetter to other teams and what you can do with your alumni. And two great people, two great players, but even better people off the ice as well. COO Joe Birch had this to say, quick quote from the article that the Rangers released: "The level of legacy ensures that our greatest contributions are remembered not just for their stats, but for the lasting impact on our culture and community. Peter and Brian exemplify everything this honor stands for, and in the Ontario Hockey League." So that's a good article there. You can check it out on the Rangers website. Get a press release as well on the night on last Friday evening in Kitchener at the auditorium. But yeah, the Rangers do a great job there. And every time you go to the Yard, anytime you go to a game at the Yard, it's always exciting to go to the Yard. It feels like you're a little kid again when you go to Kitchener Auditorium. They do everything right there. And this is one of those things that with the Rangers, this is something that it's an incredible honor for alumni. And they have great alumni. I don't know. I mean, and this is where I wish Reese was here this week, because it's one of those discussions. Reese went to the Odd, grew up going to the Odd. And it's one of those things that's a great discussion at the auditorium, because who's next? Who's next? Ranger fans listening, who's next to the wall? Has there been an announcement yet? I know Josh Brown, if you're listening, hit me up on the DMs. Let me know what you think. I mean, Gabe Landeskog, Jeff Skinner, they've had some big names there. Who's next, right? So that would be interesting to see who the next shoes are that go into the level of a legacy wall at the Memorial Auditorium in Kitchener. That's an incredible honor there. That's really cool. And I hope more teams continue to do that. I've always liked when Sarnia does the World Junior banner up top. I like the NHL alumni in Guelph. The little things like that, the captain's wall in Owen Sound, little things like that are unbelievable. The Don Brankley Hall of Fame in London at the Canada Life place. I still want to call it the Bud growing up going there, but those are always really cool to see those honors around the teams. Peterborough, what they do. And then more news too, the 300 game platform. And we talked about this at 300 games before we came on air with BC and myself. We talked about the 300 games being one of those things where we haven't really saw any of this since COVID. It really, 300 games was a rare feat. Now you're starting to see those veterans who got drafted in the COVID and the tail end of COVID, and now you see them playing 300 games. It's nice to see that. 3 active players currently at the 300 games, and we had 2 of them reach that milestone this weekend. Charlie Paquette with the Guelph Storm, Brantford Bulldogs, 294 games, as you see on your screen watching on YouTube, 294 games for Charlie Paquette with the Guelph Storm captaincy there. Did a lot to their culture leading up to their Mem Cup run next season for the Storm, and 6 games now with the Brantford Bulldogs, where he's come in and really been a leader in that room. I talked to him post-game on Friday evening when they played the Petes. Great person, good personality. We talked about Windsor Pizza. Shout out to Manny Pava from the Deadline show. We talked about Windsor Pizza. A lot of guys in the Brantford Bulldogs haven't had Windsor Pizza. They didn't know what Charlie Paquette got him hooked on Antonio. So shout out to Antonio's and Windsor Pizza as well with that one. And Sebastian Gervais, what a career he's had, right? Memorial Cup champion. You see it on your screen on YouTube as well. 3 games with the North Bay Battalion, 297 games played with the Saginaw Spirit. I mean, what a career he's had. I mean, he's had to have a career here where ups and downs. He's had to play in certain spots in the lineups. No complaints where he's been in the lineup. He's got to play a 3rd line, 4th line checking role. He can do that as well as he can play a 1st line role. Great pickup by the North Bay Battalion. Heard that on the Deadline show. Sebastian's a great player. I really like North Bay's Deadline, and great character player. To play 300 games in the Ontario Hockey League is tough, especially when you think about at 16 and 17-year-olds. This is kind of where I think about when guys come into the Ontario Hockey League at 16, 17-year-olds, especially 16-year-old. Think about a 16-year-old player's role. It's very limited. So you think about where he was, where he comes into the league, right? You're playing a 4th line role. You're scratched a little bit. To end up playing 300 games is an incredible accomplishment in the Ontario Hockey League. So congrats to those 2 gentlemen, Charlie, Sebastian. Congrats on 300 games. That's incredible. It's an incredible honor. And there's going to be 2 players that are going to set to join them probably this weekend in Brad Gardner of the Barrie Colts, who's currently at 298 games, and Alex Ferron, who is a member of the Windsor Spitfires, is at 290 games as well. So those 2 gentlemen are set to join as well this weekend. So we would have 5 active members in the Ontario Hockey League that have played 300 games, which is incredible. I know Grayson Tiller played 250. There's a few guys at 250 and not really as close to 300. They probably won't reach 300 games, but 250 still a heck of an accomplishment. But to play 300 games in the Ontario Hockey League and to have 5 people, to have Brad Gardner, Alex Ferron set to join the 3, and Sebastian Gervais, Charlie Paquette, and Ethan Miedema of the Guelph Storm. That's an incredible honor for those gentlemen. We had a first OHL win this weekend, and we'll get to that very shortly because goaltender of the week, Matthew Humphreys, is his first OHL win against the Brampton Steelheads on Sunday night in Oshawa. Nice of the Oshawa Generals to snap their skid and to get in the winning ways. I mean, I know that's been an odd season for Oshawa. They haven't been used to that in the past few seasons. So as their rebuild starts in Oshawa, nice to see Matthew Humphreys get the net there and get a big win for the Generals and for himself.
Colin, I forgot about one piece of headline that I'll quickly go over that I forgot to mention to you. 9 OHL alumni will be participating in the AHL All-Star Game roster. They include Denver Barkey, Ilya Protas, Matt Luff, Michael DiPietro, Ryan McGennell, Luka Del Bello Baluz, Arthur Kaliev, Hunter Haight, Nick Lardis, Dan Watson, and Kirill Kudratsev are the 9 former OHLers that are invited to the AHL All-Star Game. Yeah,
right on, Brandon. Well said. I knew we forgot something, and that's what it was, the All-Star Game in the AHL. I know Nick Lardis currently with Chicago. Denver Barkey spent some time with the Flyers. Hopefully those gentlemen are available, or, hey, play in the NHL, obviously. Hopefully they're not available, but great honor for those guys. The AHL All-Star Game will take place probably over the Olympic break, and for guys who don't go to the Olympics, great opportunity to have them be there's going to be no hockey past noon hour during the Olympics with the time change. The games are going to be at noon, I guess. So at 7 o'clock Eastern time, there's not going to be no hockey. So to have the All-Star Game be a center, to be a focal point in the hockey universe in North America, that's going to be cool. It's going to be a great opportunity for OHL alumni. And I think it's always cool to watch, right? It'd be cool to see. I mean, you think about the guys, right? You think about the ability with the puck of Denver Barkey. I mean, this is recent memory, like the last year. Nick Lardis with 71 goals. Like, you think about those guys, right? Like, be interested to see them in like a target shot competition or the skating with the puck. Like, remember that one in the National Hockey League when it looked like Kucherov just dogged it? I mean, he didn't look. He did. It looked like there was zero effort there at all. And the beauty of the AHL All-Star game is. It looks like guys are trying, so that's going to be cool. And it's nice to see some of these recent OHL alumni. Del Bell Balooz is pretty recent as well. Hunter Haight. It'll be cool to see those guys too that are just out of the league, right? Like hungry, and it'll be cool to see them prove a point in the All-Star game in the AHL level. But
yeah, so it's going to be in Rockford. This skills competition is going to be Tuesday, February 10th. And then the game itself is Wednesday, February 11th at 8 p.m., featuring 3-on-3 round robin with 6 8-minute games. The two teams with the best round robin records will meet in an 8-minute 3-on-3 championship game.
Is there a prize pool? Because you know how the NHL has the big prize pool. Remember when John Scott got the MVP, got the car? Does it say anything about that for the winning team?
It does not, but it also includes the AHL Hall of Fame induction and award ceremony taking place that day as well. So good on the American Hockey League.
The NHL should follow suit with that. They should announce that during the All-Star game. Whenever they do one next, they should do that. Obviously this year with the Olympics, the NHL should do that. That's a cool honor to add the Hall of Fame class like that during the All-Star game. That's cool.
Yeah, and speaking of Rockford, another recent OHL alum, Owen Flores, made his debut for the Rockford Ice Hogs last weekend.
Hey, one of your guys you got to work with real closely there in Niagara, so that's kind of cool. Hey, I know from firsthand, Owen Flores, love-hate relationship, but he's been great. I mean, what a player, what a career he had. You think about those Ice Dog teams that there was no hope. There was no hope in Niagara, and Owen Flores gave them hope, which, I mean, great for him to get that opportunity in the AHL. Obviously, the East Coast is back now after their little dispute with the quick walkout, but nice to see
Chicago kid gets to make his dream happen, Good for him.
That's right on. I mean, that's cool. And nice to see. I saw the Ice Dog pads there too. A couple clips on that the East Coast team commit that they posted. I saw the Ice Dogs pad still. So that's kind of cool for OHL fans to see the OHL in the East Coast because it's a great league there as well.
For sure.
But my last headline that I want to touch on before we get on to the Twitter poll Players of the Week. I'll follow your lead, BC. But the OHL sweeps the Q. They sweep the Q. I know on social media we saw the tweets, we saw the social media comments. There were 2 new teams added to the OHL standings because there's a home and home, a 1-game play with Rwanda Sudbury Wolves. Where the Wolves taking that one, and then obviously the home and home with Gatineau and Ottawa, with the Ottawa 67 sweeping both games in that little home and home. So that was big for the OHL to get bragging rights because there was no trophy or anything. So maybe I'll put banners up around OHL Arena as OHL 3-0 this year against the Q. But hopefully lead up to the Mem Cup when it matters. But all in all, great. It's pretty cool to see. I know there's a lot of complaints around the league. Well, it's not fair. You see where Gatineau is in the standings. Rwanda is having a pretty good year, though, in the Q. You see kind of teams complain about that. Well, that's not really fair. It's always been a thing. No one talked about it when Ottawa wasn't as where they were last year in the standings. No one really talked about it. I think it's more of a thing this year. But all in all, it's a cool event that takes place. I wish there'd be more of that. We talked about it last year here on the OHL 60 podcast for the OGs who remember listening to that one from last year about I wish it'd be more. I know obviously feasible. It's tough. It's obviously like it's plane rides, flying out west, but it would be really cool to be able to do a little interlocking schedule like that. I think we got inspired by the Major League Baseball having teams play each other like that. American League, National League setups, but obviously that's a lot easier with the financial abilities that they have in Major League Baseball and professional sports. But it'd just be really cool to see that. I remember when Bedard in Regina, you imagine having Bedard having to go play in the Kitchener Auditorium or Canada Life Place in London. That'd be an incredible spectacle. So to be able to see that, that'd be pretty cool. But it's very hard to put that together, but it'd be really cool. Even exhibition games, it'd be pretty cool to see that take place. But all in all, that's your headlines for the week. Congrats to the Ottawa 67s and the Sudbury Wolves of winning the OHL Quebec rivalry series. Congrats on that. OHL 3-0 to round out this week's headlines. A lot going on in the OHL. Busy week. I mean, it's always fun. It's always fun when you have games like that. I think that's good for the league. It's good to get the camaraderie, get the OHL versus the Q. I think that's always kind of cool to have. similar like when they had the CHL Russia series. Those were always cool. But we'll get to the players of the week. Players of the week this week. Obviously, a lot to talk about. David Buckman, prospect rookie of the week. Klepoff and Saginaw. I mean, the tear he's on there. The player of the week. Incredible. Nikita Klepoff, player of the week and rookie of the week. 2 games played, 6 points. We talked about it. You can hear it on the Armchair GM Sports Network, wherever you listen to your podcast. Here on YouTube, if you're watching us right now, you can see it on your screen, the graphic that the OHL posted. What a week. What a prospects game he had. He was the best player at the prospects game by far for the West. I mean, maybe not by far. There's a lot of good players on that West team, but he had a spectacular coming out party this past week. And I mean, 6 points in 2 games. Obviously, it leads to a tear still for where he's at. What a player he is. A treat to watch. He's honestly so shifty and so skilled that it's really entertaining to watch him play hockey. It's a very big treat to be able to watch the Saginaw Spirit and watch Nikita Klepoff play hockey right now, because the way he controls the game, the way he skates with the puck, the possession, the poise with the puck, it's just so skilled. I mean, 56 points in 42 games this year. You can see it on your screen on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, I mean, it just speaks for itself, right? The skill set. +3, right? A +3 on a team that's currently in 8th place in the Western Conference in the Ontario Hockey League standings. Like, to be able to have that success as a young player, as a draft-eligible player, is unbelievable. Great season for Nikita Klepoff. Possibly maybe another underrated player as we get to our Twitter poll here in a few minutes. Maybe Klepoff's another underrated player. Maybe give it some time here. But another top scorer in the Ontario Hockey League, elite talent out of the state of Michigan, one of the 2 teams as well. Goalie of the week, Matthew Humphreys. Brandon, you know him well from Niagara before going to Oshawa. Young talent, high drafted goaltender. A lot of expectations in Niagara. He goes to Oshawa. He gets his opportunity. And bingo, he ends that losing skid for them this past week with the win over Brampton on Sunday night over the Steelheads at home in Oshawa. But 3 games played, 1-1 record, 220 goals against, a .937 save percentage. And on top of that, he made 89 saves in the 3 contests. What a performance out of Matthew Humphreys, getting his first OHL win, getting goalie of the week. Hey, Matthew, it's not always this easy. Speaking for other goaltenders in the OHL, it's not always this easy. You don't always get your first win and get goalie of the week. It's a tough task. Great week for Matthew. Great goaltender. Nice to see him get that opportunity in Oshawa for sure. And
yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, like, Humphreys, like, he's bounced around a little bit, obviously, from the OJ and the OHL. It's not an easy thing to do, right? Only had a cup of coffee with Niagara this year, but was up and down with the Aurora Tigers and, backed up for the Ice Dogs for their games in Erie, not taking Yermolenko on those trips, and then got moved to Oshawa. And, they had 3 goalies that they like too. So it's a competition over there, but good to see him because the stats have been very good so far since going over to Oshawa. And he's still a young goalie, right? 17 years old. So the Generals have a guy that they can, really build with there. So it's nice to see Humphreys finally get that first win because it's a long time coming for him.
No, absolutely it is. I mean, 1,000%. You look at the 10 games in Oshawa, right? 1-7, or the 10 games this season. He's 1-7-1. One of those games are with the Ice Dogs. 247 goals against and a 928 save percentage in 10 games. For a 1-7-1 record to have those numbers and the goals against department and the save percentage department is incredible. That is tough to do. And the thing is with Humphreys, he has the body type. I mean, 6'2" is a small goaltender now in the OHL, but you look at his positioning, and I know someone else who is around that size who just left Oshawa, who's a dang good goaltender, and Jacob Oster. So incredible, tough shoes to fill, but great goaltender as well. 44th overall pick in the 2024 draft, 3rd rounder to the Ice Dogs going to Oshawa. I mean, high expectations, right? Your 3rd round pick. You're one of the top goaltenders taken in the Ontario Hockey League draft that season. High expectations, great opportunity for him. You gotta be thrilled for a kid when they go in there and they get a win like that. Nothing to lose situation as well right now in Oshawa. So great for Matthew Humphreys. Well said, Brandon, as well in his days in Niagara. To the prospect of the week, it's Brantford Titans, and I know Reese is going to have a tough one with this. I know I have high expectations. There's going to be high expectations for this one. I can't butcher it. Bulldogs prospect and the Brantford Titans defenseman, first-round pick by the Bulldogs this year, by the way. David Buckman, 6 points in 2 games, 3 goals, 3 assists for David Buckman. Great opportunity. Great opportunity for him with the Brantford Titans. That's one of those situations there where you look at the Brantford Bulldogs blue line. Where is he going to fit in on the blue line? You can't have him play once every 8 games. So you send him to the Brantford Titans. Gets to play the top line, run the power play. He played in the showcase as well at the prospects game for the GO. Had a good performance in there as well. So a great week for David Buckman with his 6 points in 2 games, 3 goals, 3 assists for the Bulldogs first rounder, David Buckman. But
yeah, I think we've got time for the Flint and Nathan Aspinall topic before we hit the break. So
perfect. Yeah, Nathan Aspinall, most underrated star. I mean, Twitter poll right now at the OHL 60 podcast on X. You can check it out there. Is he the most underrated star in the OHL? Right now, you see the odds. We'll finish it. We'll show the results on next week's show. Go there right now and vote. Heck yeah or no if he is the most underrated star. If he is, heck yeah, he is. If not, no, he's just right. He's where he is. He's an elite player. This is where he deserves to be. We already acknowledge that, I guess. Because me personally, after seeing Brian's comments at the trade deadline show out of Flint, like seeing those comments about where was he and Flint's staff sitting around thinking, well, when's Nathan Aspinall going to get an invite to World Junior Camp? Very, very well said. And that put off alarms in my head right after hearing that. Anyone that listens knows that I'll be all over that right after when someone says that. I'll do my research on that. And I mean, incredible player, Nathan Aspinall. I mean, he's been a star this year. Is he the most underrated star in the OHL? Right now, I'm leaning yes. We'll see next week how I feel on the final results. But
for our listeners, it's 63.2% heck yeah, and only 36.8% for no.
Yeah, and right now, overwhelming heck yeah. And I would say that it should be like that. I mean, he is the most underrated star right now in the OHL, leading the league in points. He has 62 points in 42 games. Nathan Aspinall, you heard the stories last week from Brian Gardner, the voice of the Flint Firebirds, about how his developments went, how good he was at Rangers camp. He's a 5th-round pick in the 2024 draft by the New York Rangers. How good he was there. He's 6'7", 207. Like, up and down the wing. He's in a good spot there in Flint. Like, I really like his game, and I think the Firebirds, if they're going to make a run here in the playoffs, I think they're going to make a run in the playoffs because of Nathan Aspinall and players like him, the leader, the captain of the team. Obviously, if they're going to make a run, they're going to get over Windsor. They're going to get over the Kitcheners, the Sioux. They're going to do that because of Nathan Aspinall and others. But he's going to be one of the main reasons why they do that, because he's the captain. And I mean, just the player he is. I mean, he does the little things right. He has a high compete level. He's hard to play against. And I think that those are the things the intangibles that you like to see in a young player at the National Hockey League level. And I think that he's a guy that next year you could see him wearing that Rangers uniform after, hey, they called off the Dogs, BC, in the clouds. They called off the Dogs with their little email to the fans, or little statement to the fans about they're going to rebuild. So Nathan Aspinall, that could be a positive situation for him, maybe getting that opportunity with the Rangers sooner than later, as he develops here as a young hockey player in the Ontario Hockey League. So really big. Go to the X, get it on the poll. Is he the most underrated star in the OHL? Nathan Aspinall. Right now, heck yeah, 63%. I think it was 36. No, just fine. So go to X, OHL 60 podcast, and get it on the action as well. But
my question to you is Flint still underrated, even though they're first place in the West?
Yes, without a doubt. I think for the consensus for most people, and I don't want to speak for most people, from what I see, Brandon, and I think by asking the question, you'll probably agree with this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like in the Western Conference, when people go to the Western Conference, I think you see this a lot with Ottawa as well in the East, where it's everyone in the East goes to the Brantford Bulldogs, being they're the team, right? It doesn't give Ottawa the credit they deserve. In the West, I think teams go to Kitchener, and I think teams go to Windsor before they go to Flint. That's my opinion. That's the consensus I get. You hear about the predictions, right? And obviously not to toot my own horn, but I had Flint being in the top of the standings at the beginning of the year as my surprise team to watch. They had a lot of picks. They had a lot of picks to work with. If they can get the horse through the starting gates and stay in contention at the deadline, check, you can add pieces. They've done both those. This is where the situation is. But me personally, I think maybe because of the markets of Windsor and Kitchener, right away in the Western Conference, I think when the average fan thinks about, okay, who's representing the Western Conference in the OHL final, I think they go right to Windsor or Kitchener. I don't think they go to the Flint Firebirds enough credit. Me personally, I think it goes through Flint right now, not just because of the standings. I think Flint, if Vakari is on, who, by the way, is playing his best hockey he's ever played in his OHL career, can he do it over a long time? I think he can. We saw how much he played a few seasons back with the Kingston Frontenacs. They ran him every game. I think he can handle the workload. Can you handle it now in a playoff run, a long playoff run that the Frontenacs did not have?
Yeah.
We'll find out, right? We'll find out. Those are answers. But I think 1,000%, right? He's played the most. He's won the most games this year. He's near the top of each goal in the goalie leaders. He's been incredible. He's won 24 games this year, Mason Vakari. And you can see it on your screen on YouTube right now as well. For those not listening, 24 games he's won. He's the OHL wins leader for goaltenders in the Ontario Hockey League right now. Mason Vakari, goaltender of the Flint Firebirds. You want to talk about an opportunity, right? Good opportunity for him, getting a contract, schools. Great opportunity for Vakari as well. But the Flint Firebirds, without a doubt, are overlooked in the Western Conference and in the OHL in a whole. Because right now, on paper, they're second, third favorites to win the OHL on the standings, right? So,
well, and I think it's something that you mentioned on the deadline show, Colin, was that like Flint hasn't really had their moment in Michigan yet since moving. You know what I mean? Like since they moved from Plymouth, Saginaw has sort of been the story. And we heard Brian Gardner talk about how important it is for them to not only beat Saginaw, but to be, looked upon in the Ontario Hockey League as a team that you don't want to forget about, right? Like I love the season. I love that the teams work together for those season ticket initiatives, for giving Flint fans tickets and Saginaw fans tickets for Flint. Like I think that's really good for the league. And that was incredible when Brian talked about that. And just, you 100%. Asked about the buzz of Flint and how much Genesee County has gotten behind that team right now. Like it's got to be a great time to be a Firebirds fan because, you've played second fiddle to Saginaw for too long.
Big time. Well, Saginaw got the Mem Cup, right? And this goes back before the Mem Cup. 2020, when you look at the Riley McCourts, you look at that team they had, Delandria, you look at that Flint team that they had. It felt like Flint was poised to make at least the Western Conference final against possibly the Saginaw team that was loaded as well, right? Like it felt like then. And you want to talk about teams that had to suffer through COVID and then have to be forced to go to a rebuild because you guys had the Riley McCourt's former show guest. You guys had them graduate. You had they had Ty Delandria graduate. They had so many good players graduate where you're kind of forced to make a rebuild, right? Without being able to sell the players you can necessarily sell a year after because you lose a year, right? So they lost a lot. Credit to their front office. They've done a great job managing picks, having a lot of picks to go for it. This year they had to be patient. They're patient. Now they get their time. They get their moment. And like you mentioned, great opportunity for the Flint Firebirds to really grab the bull by the horns here in Flint, in Michigan, and really become that team. And also a great initiative by the Firebirds in Spirit for season ticket holders, getting tickets to every matchup, every game, the games in Saginaw and in Flint. You get all the road games as well. That's incredible. Shout out to some of the listeners too that responded to us. I know the OG, Brad, Urbanowitz, I know you had a lot to say about that too on social media. That's incredible that's honestly, speaking for the fans that have DM'd me as well about this, like that's incredible that Firebirds do that. And this is in the spirit, but this is a message to other teams now. Other teams, you got to get on this. 18 other teams in the Ontario Hockey League have to get on this initiative. You look at some of these arenas that aren't full. Why not? Why not? Right? I know Brandon, yourself and me, Bulldogs, Ice Dogs. We see how many Bulldog fans that go to Niagara, and we see a lot of Niagara fans in Brantford. Why? I know Brantford's kind of hard with the 3,000 seats, but if I'm Niagara and the Brantford Bulldogs, I'm adding that in the season ticket packages. The Brampton Steelheads. I'm not going to knock the Brampton Steelheads. They've tried everything they've tried. I know why they're in Brampton. They didn't move because of attendance. I know that. Instead of maybe doing school day games, why don't we add tickets to Oshawa season ticket holders, Brantford season ticket holders, Kitchener season ticket holders? Why don't we do that with the Brampton Steelheads to get, hey, I know if it's 1,000 fans of the other team, but at least it's 1,000 people that are in your arena spending money on your concessions. And hey, probably getting a souvenir item because it could be their first time going to the arena as well to CAA. Why don't we do that there? Kingston Frontenacs, Ottawa 67s. Maybe they already do that, but why not do that, right?
Bring back game pucks for each game.
Yeah, exactly. Bring back game pucks. You'll get souvenir revenue. You get an extra 1,000 seats full just because of the other team season ticket holders. And I know, hey, ask the Buffalo Sabres about when the Maple Leafs come to town. It's their most generated game of the year. At the end of the day, the Sabres are going to win anyway. Sorry, Leaf fans, but everyone knows my opinion on that. But the Sabres usually win anyway. So at the end of the day, the Sabres have their largest gate, who, by the way, look great. Shout out to Jay McKee, Bulldogs head coach. He looked great in that old Sabres uniform. I know you're going to love that, Brandon. The alumni game that they had. Chatted with him about it, too, by the way. First time he saw guys in 20 years. And that was really cool to hear Jay's opinion on that. We'll have that on the Dogcast and the Bulldogs Audio Network for Bulldogs fans listening. We'll have a full Jay McKee article or interview on the podcast about that. But anyway, yeah, I think other teams got to do this. They have to do this. And for the Sabres, when they play the Leafs, it's their highest generated revenue game of the season for a reason, right? It's all Maple Leaf fans. But hey, do you think the Buffalo Sabres organization's upset? No, that's the worst thing that they would think. There's a lot more worse things they could think of, right? So you're getting gate revenue off that. 100% OHL, other OHL teams have to follow suit with this rivalry that they do in Flint and Saginaw. That's incredible. And like, I love that idea. Fans, OHL fans that are diehards would die to see their team play on the road. And if they get that opportunity with their season tickets, they have to do it. And for teams like Brampton, who are, when you watch a game, maybe 4,000 empty seats, like, why not take that initiative? It's an extra 1,000 seats it's an extra 1,000 seats that are full in your arena, and it's an opportunity to grow the game in your community. Love that idea for the rest of the OHL as well. Great job by Flint and Saginaw on that as well. But I think that's going to do it for the first segment, Brandon. I think we got to take a break, and we'll come back with New Year's resolutions. A lot to talk about with that. I think we're going an hour 10 today, but a lot to chat about with that as well. We'll be back with the resolutions and the power rankings. There's a lot to discuss with the power rankings as always, but we'll see you after the break.
Butt ends are hockey stick grips, specifically for the top of the stick, designed to replace traditional cloth tape. They're made of rubber and offer a more consistent and comfortable grip than tape, aiming to improve performance and reduce slippage. Butt ends are an alternative to regular stick tape that provide enhanced grip and comfort, are durable, reusable, and consistent, with the ability to reduce vibration. The grips are available in a variety of styles, designs, colors, and even have options for specific player names. At Butt Ends, they're committed to providing the world's highest quality stick grips and continue to bring new technology and ideas with each new grip design, regardless of sport. Alex Petrangelo, Akil Thomas, Max Domi, Aiden Hill, and Tim Stutzla are a few who have proudly used Butt Ends for peak performance at the NHL level. Check them out at buttonswithaz.com and use our referral code buttons.com/discount/armchairgm to get 10% off your order as part of our community. Engineered for greatness and performance, Butt Ends, the #1 grip in hockey.
Fourth Wall is the official merchandise supplier of the Armchair GM Sports Network. Our user-friendly site is print to order with no minimum items or inventory needed, shipped right to your doorstep safely and efficiently from their North American warehouse. All of our logos are available to supporters, listeners, and viewers can have the best variety available to them for their swag preferences. All items are priced as low as possible, allowing everybody who wants to support our business with the opportunity to do so, receiving quality and comfortable products in return. Shop today at fourthwall.com with the direct link to our Armchair merch store in the description of all episodes and in the bio of all of our social media accounts. Become an Armchair GM today with Fourth Wall.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
And welcome back to the OHL 60 podcast. Colin Ward, no Reese tonight. Well, New Year's resolutions, things to improve on. It's a new year, new me. OHL edition, your OHL teams edition. Let us know. This should be a fun activity that we do here. BC in the clouds, as always. Thank you, Brandon. Production, chiming in from the clouds. Appreciate it on nights like this for sure. But yeah, it's one of those things that I think is going to be a fun addition. I think this is going to be a fun debate. I think the fans, or you guys listening, can get involved as well with this. I think it's going to be a fun one. But New Year's resolutions, we're going to go from bottom to top. We're going to start in the Western Conference with the Erie Otters, who are currently in 10th place in the Western Conference, 30 points, just 9 points out of that last playoff spot behind the Saginaw Spirit. I think the West is pretty well, unless Erie go on a big run and Saginaw goes on a losing skid. I think it's starting to really get traction. I think we're starting to see the playoff picture as well. Maybe we'll get to a lottery simulator here in a couple of weeks, because the Noranda Huskies, for those on YouTube watching, they're still on the OHL's website on the standings. They're in the draft lottery odds right now. They got the best odds right now at 0-1. Just 22 points back of the Oshawa Generals in 11th place. No pun intended. Have fun with that one. Seeing that on the OHL's website, they're on a losing skid, but their penalty kill is at 100%. But yeah, I think the Erie Otters, one thing is you got to continue to develop. You have to continue to develop. You know what their deadline was? There was a fire sale there in Erie. You got to continue to develop your young talent. I like the Michael Deck trade. I like the Andrew Kuzma pickup. I like those moves. I think from the Erie Otters, I continue to develop my guys. You know where you are in the standings. Is playoffs on the horizon for the Erie Otters? Percentages don't favor them for that. So what do? You play playoff games now. You have your opportunity. You give guys bigger roles. Giving young players a great opportunity is the best way to develop. The Erie Otters have a great chance to showcase to play for next season with developing their players that they have now in their system for next year. So that's what I would do if I'm the Erie Otters. The New Year's resolution, you continue to develop these young players that you have. Continue to build through the draft. You have your picks. You have your young players. Lucas Ambrosio is a stud on the back end. I really like his game. Big, tough defenseman. Good with the puck. You have some young talent there. Give them the opportunity to move up in your system leading into next season. And hey, you never know. You get hot, you have that opportunity to make the playoffs. They've lost 7 games in a row in Erie, but you never know. You give guys opportunity, give the young kids a transition. You've sold your captain. You've sold a few players to Peterborough, right? Like, they've made some deals here. So now you got guys in bigger systems. It takes time to get used to the system. Now we'll see what happens with that opportunity. We saw night one for the London Knights at the trade deadline. They lose to Brantford. Now they've won 3 games in a row since, right? So it takes time. Some teams, it only takes 1 game. Some teams, though, it takes multiple games. Erie Otters right now, get guys into the system, get guys meshing together, gelling together, and then we'll see what happens. But give the young players opportunity. It was what I would do if I'm in the new year for the Erie Otters. That's what I'm doing right now. Get to the Sarnia Sting, 9th place in the Western Conference. They are 8 points back out of the OHL playoff picture. And if I'm the Sarnia Sting, here's the thing about Sarnia. Everyone on the deadline show, everyone in our article, Joel Vanderland and myself, that we published last week after the deadline, everyone knows my opinion on that. I don't like their deadline. They've had a couple big free agent signings here in the last couple days. That's a good approach for this thing. You got to get better. You have to create a young nucleus around Diorio, around Edwards, around Brenner Lamans, a young first-round pick, a top 5 pick in the NHL Hockey League. You got to build around those guys. Those are the guys you build around for next season. I think, and this is tough, right? We see the article about playoff picture. They still believe they're a playoff team. That's why they didn't want a fire sale. Okay, let's see it. You've dropped 2 in a row. You're 3-6-1 in your last 10. I don't believe they're a playoff team with a 19.6% power play and a 78.5% penalty kill. I don't think that's a playoff team in my opinion. But hey, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Bulletin board material. I've had that before, even in house. I've had that before. Prove me wrong. But if I'm the Sarnia Sting, I'm building on an approach for the import draft, create structure within the organization, have good drafts, have a good development curve, build around the 3 pieces that you've just drafted in your young core there, and see what happens in the next season. Similar to Erie, but I think Sarnia already has their young stars. How do you build around that now? How do you create a better bottom 6? How do you create a better 4, 5, 6 defensemen? How do you do that, right? Let's see if they can do that in the offseason. That's my biggest challenge for this Sarnia Sting, how they can do that. It starts with a big free agency, though, as well, with their free agent signings that they have recently signed to the States. So that's a big one, too, for the Sarnia Sting, because the border is right there for them, too, in Port Huron. The Saginaw Spirit. The Saginaw Spirit, to me, what do they have to do to prove? The Saginaw Spirit this year could miss the playoffs, and that would be okay. After the Mem Cup success, after the years they had, if I'm the Saginaw Spirit, get in with these young players with Klepoff, create draft experience for a guy like Klepoff, continue to develop the team you have, similar to a rebuild team, but you already have a couple of young guys. They're like Sarnia. They're a lot like Sarnia with already a young talent there. My approach to the Saginaw Spirit, get into the playoffs, get Klepoff's draft stock up, get some of these younger players' draft stocks up that they already have there, and continue to build on what you have in the system there. Is a pretty dang good system in Saginaw. They have a great program there. Get in the playoffs, and hey, maybe a 1 versus 8 matchup against your rival, the Flint Firebirds, in the first round. If it was today in the playoffs, that would be it. Which would be pretty cool to see as well. Season ticket holders, get your tickets ready. I'm sure you get the playoff ones as well. So that's what I would do if I'm the Saginaw Spirit. Guelph Storm. It's easy to say for the Guelph Storm next season. It's easy, right, to look forward to next season. If I'm in the Storm, if I'm in their front office, I'm probably thinking that next season's the Mem Cup. I'm building my team for next season. It's the Mall Mem Cup. No pun intended. I love what Guelph's done with that, by the way. But if I'm the Guelph Storm, and you've dropped 4 in a row. Your power play's at 18.7%. Power play's got to get better for sure. Maybe dig into your old bag of tricks. Maybe really dig deep in there. Create something new in the system. Maybe it'll work on the power play. But I just think you got to continue, not just build for next season, but it's important that the Guelph Storm play playoff games and play meaningful games down the stretch to get that experience for next season. So my biggest thing with the Guelph Storm is make the playoffs. Make the playoffs. Be a tough out. I think they make the playoffs. Be a tough out. Be a tough out. I really feel it. I like their goaltending with Jovanovski, Ellsworth as well. I like their goaltending situation. The Guelph Storm, you got to make the playoffs and be that tough out. Be that tough out. Create momentum and optimism that's legitimized to make that Mem Cup run next season. How do you do that? You have a good playoff run this year. Have a good stretch. Find the Guelph Storm. That's what I am going into the stretch. That's my new year, my new approach for the Guelph Storm.
Build around those good young players they got too, like the Gallaghers and the Tyler Hopkins.
Big time. No, absolutely. I mean, you look at what they've done there, right? Like Josh Avery, that's your second, third line center on a good team. Like you get that opportunity. Very, very big for the Guelph Storm in the playoffs. You want to talk about a team that needs to create optimism for next season through this year. The Guelph Storm are the poster boys just because of the Mem Cup, in my opinion. And also the Owen Sound Attack, right? 40 points in the Western Conference right now in 6th place. Guelph also at 40, by the way, too. Just 1 point up on Saginaw for 8th, both teams. Owen Sound Attack, we saw their deals. We saw Badkowski go. We saw Carter George go. What do you do, right? What do you do? Pierce Bowie, does he go to college next year? What's his future look like with Owen Sound? The Attack have to. That's another thing. You got to make the playoffs, but something here in Owen Sound has to change. You're playing your worst stretch of hockey of the season. Their power play honestly isn't horrible, but they can't kill a penalty to save their lives. And the problem is they take a lot of penalties. So if you can't kill penalties and you take a lot of penalties, who currently leads the Western Conference, actually lead the whole OHL in penalty minutes right now, the Owen Sound Attack, and you have a 75.1% penalty kill, just dead last in the Western Conference, that's why you lose games. Right? Like, you got to clean up the penalty kill. You got to clean up the penalty minutes. If they clean up the penalty minutes, they're a top 5 team. They probably catch London if they clean up the penalty minutes, because that improves the penalty kill, obviously. They gotta stay out of the box. 1-8-1 right now in their last 10. They've dropped 5 in a row. Second worst stretch right now in the Western Conference. They have to find a way. To get out of it. How do they get out of it? Penalty kill. How do they get out of the penalty kill? Penalty minutes. Take less penalties. Name of the game for the Owen Sound Attack. That's my message on the board for the Attack right now on the daily for Owen Sound. The London Knights.
This is the one I want to hear.
Yeah, I mean, no one to hold them, no one to fold them. No one knows how to do that better than the London Knights and Mark Hunter and Rob Simpson, that front office. Wow, right? 5th place right now in the Western Conference. 53 points. They sit at 25-15, just 1 point back of the Sioux Greyhounds. Think about what they sold. And like I mentioned this earlier, I mentioned this a few teams back about the London Knights selling. Think about the Erie Otters. I think I mentioned that. But the London Knights sell at the deadline. They dropped their first game to the Brantford Bulldogs. Since then, you're 3-0 with a 7-3 record in your last 10 games. The London Knights are never an easy out. And we talked about this on the deadline. We talked about this on the deadline show. I talked about it in my analysis on the article, armchairgmsportsnetwork.com. Go on there, check it out. Joel Vanderland and myself. I mentioned that in the article. The London Knights know when to hold them, know when to fold them. They've done a great job at that. You see the OHs they've acquired, and hey, watch when they go pick up one of the best players available this offseason with the picks they just got at the deadline and be the OHL champion next year, competing with the Guelph Storm at the Mem Cup. Watch them do this. They do this every time, and they just know how to run a team. And I think that it's a system. It's tough to play against. One thing is they got to clean up their power play. Their power play doesn't execute well. It's at 20.4%. Not horrible. It's middle of the pack in the Western Conference. Above average, actually, in the OHL, when you think about all the Eastern power plays that are horrible. I mean, power play is not penalty kill, by the way, but power plays, when you look at the power plays in the Eastern Conference, it's above average in the OHL, but average in the Western Conference. But great opportunity for the London Knights. They get the power play going. That's going to be a tough out. That will be a tough out with a young and hungry team. Young and hungry is dangerous. And with the opportunity that they have, I saw London before when they made those moves in 2018. Robert Thomas goes by who they pick up? Connor McMichael, right? They always have someone. Who is the Connor McMichael right now that they picked up at the deadline, right? You look at the defense they picked up. You look at Barch that they get from Kitchener. Great opportunity for them. Great opportunity for the London Knights. The deadline that they had made such a positive for the future for the Knights that it's unparalleled to other teams in their rebuild right now, by far above everybody with the way they were able to sell. For next season, they're going to have a chance now.
Don't forget about William Moore. They also reacquired his rights, NCAA guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like opportunity, right? Opportunity. And the London Knights are always going to be a skilled organization. Talk about a deadline, right? That's an incredible deadline for the London Knights. We'll go to the Sioux Greyhounds. The Sioux Greyhounds. And it's funny. Before the trade deadline, it would have been easy. My New Year's resolution would have been easy. Goaltending. Stop a puck. They do that now. So I'm going to pivot to power play. 17.6% on the power play. Dead last in the Western Conference by barely 17.7 the Erie Otters. They're 17.6 in Sioux. You're in fourth place right now, 54 points in the Western Conference. From the Greyhounds, got to get the power play executing. You got to get the power play going. Get the power play going. That's the difference from being fourth and fifth, right? You score on the special teams, all of a sudden you're nipping at the heels of the Windsors, the Flints. If you can get those extra goal a game, that's huge, right? That's the difference between wins and losses. That crucial power play late in the game that you get, or even in the middle of the game, right? You get a power play in the second period, you don't think much of it. Next thing you know, it's like, I wish we would have scored there, right? We had chances. They got to get the power play going. They can score one more power play goal per 10 opportunities. Look where they are, right? So that's my approach to the Sioux Greyhounds. Got to get the power play going. They got the goaltending issue solved in Carter George. How do you get better? Power play. You got to score goals. That's why I wanted their deadline to be Sam O'Reilly. That's why I wanted that to be Sam O'Reilly, because that's what I thought they needed in Sioux. But power play. Got to get the power play going.
Chase Reed, number one ranked OHLer in the new midterm Central Scouting rankings.
And he makes every player better too, eh? Like Chase Reed, like everyone he plays with has good years. You watch them or good games. You watch that prospects games. Well, maybe he didn't have the points, but look at the guys he was playing with and look at the nights they had, right? Is that a coincidence? I don't think it is, right? With Chase Reed, great player running their blue line there alongside Lucas Fisher and others with the Sioux Greyhounds. They have a good decor. They have a good good goaltending. Just got to get more up front, right? I think that's what it is now. Windsor Spitfire, 63 points, 1 point out of first place, 43 games played. They have 2 games in hand on the Flint Firebirds. A big game Friday night. They play Flint. It's a Friday free game on social media, on YouTube. So you might want to watch that on the OHL social media channels or on YouTube. It's a free view. The Windsor Spitfires, Flint Firebirds right now for first place Friday evening. What a game that's going to be. Windsor Spitfires. When you get to the top tiers of each conference, it's tough to say what you can get better on without nitpicking. And really, there's not much you can say about the Windsor Spitfires. They have good goaltending. They've been great in their last 10, 8-1-1, right? Like, they're on a 2-game winning streak. They're feeling good. Continue to develop, play the right way, I guess is my message. Like, you got to continue in a positive directory, continue to get up there and give yourselves a fighting chance, right? Like, play hard every night, which they do. Spellacy's a great player. Their penalty kill is great. Their power play is great. You're playing good hockey. Continue to play this way and you will be okay. And possibly win the Western Conference if you continue to play this way, because it forces Flint, that their power play is at 21.2% and Windsor's at 26.1%, forces some pressure on Flint. And right now, like I said earlier, I think when you go to the Western Conference, you think about Windsor Kitchener over the Flint Firebirds. Force them, put some in the conference, right? And I think that's the thing. And they'll be okay if they continue to trend like this. The Windsor Spitfires will probably win the Western Conference with the way they're trending, with their special teams. Per last 10, they're always really good in their last 10. They don't go on many losing streaks. So to me right now, the Windsor Spitfires, there's not much to improve on. It's just nitpicking. Kitchener Rangers is interesting, right? I go right to the penalty kill at 79.9%. Get that into the 80s, the extra point. I mean, one more kill. You're up there, right? But all in all, with the Kitchener Rangers, continue to get big saves, keep the puck out of your nets and name of the game. They're starting to score a little more. Yeah, like, I don't really have much to say about Kitchener. I like their deadline. I like what they've done. I think they give themselves an excellent chance to win that division, which is usually tougher than what it is in the Midwest. But Christian Humphreys is having a good year. Jack Pridham's having a good year. Dylan Edwards has been a good trade pickup from Erie. You look at their opportunity. Sam O'Reilly getting the game winner the other day. Continue to gel. Continue to have these guys come together here, and you're going to be a tough out in the postseason. So to me right now, the Kitchener Rangers, keep doing what you're doing. There's not much to change. You're in excellent position right now. You're in the driver's seat in the Midwest in your division to get a top 2 spot in the Western Conference. And lastly, in the Western Conference, the Flint Firebirds. Not much to say about Flint either. Flint, other than this, you got to score more goals on the power play. I really like their defensive structure in Flint. I really do. I watch them play. Their structure is a professional system against junior system. That's why they win games. You have to make tough decisions when you're playing the Flint Firebirds on a given night. You have to make tough decisions on, if it's too much of me, it's not enough of we. And that's why they're a tough team to play. They're going to force guys to stick handle through 4 guys. You're going to make a 17-year-old make a decision like that, and it can get ugly in a real quick in the transition game. If you want to get into that matchup and you want to try to stick handle through that line of defense that Flint usually sets up there with their 1-4 system at the blue line, neutral zone, that's something that it's tough to play against. And if you want to get into that battle and you want to try to stick handle through 4 guys, they'll make you look awfully silly in Flint. So I continue to play the system and boost the power play. Power play's got to get better for them. If the power play can get better, they're going to win the Western Conference. That's what it's going to come down to with them in Windsor, right? Head-to-head games, special teams. That's what's going to come down to with them in Windsor. All right. Eastern Conference, Brandon, or do we want to do it next week?
It's up to you. I mean, we're at 55 minutes right now. You want to wait for Reese for we can do Eastern Conference next week? It's up to you.
You know what? We'll power through it. I think we got good vibes going and talking OHL hockey. We can power through it. Probably go an hour 15 though instead of an hour and 10. Is that okay?
Yep.
Perfect. Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it. BC, as always, in the clouds. Fact checking me, make sure I don't say anything dumb, making sure I look good online with these filters that he puts in on place. Definitely uglier in person.
We're not going to be talking about Rio Noranda Huskies, though.
Noranda needs to have a fire sale. They're in our draft lottery. You know what? Next week, we're doing a draft lottery. I think we can bring the draft simulator back. You look at where the teams are that are out of the playoffs right now.
Yeah, I think it's time.
I think we can do a draft lottery simulator.
Yep.
That's going to be a blast. It was so fun last year. Who gets the first pick?
We'll
It's
start
after
it
the
next week.
deadline. But yeah, Miranda's got to sell. They're out of it. They've been eliminated out of the postseason. They're 35 points out of a playoff spot. They're basically eliminated from OHL contention. So we're not going to touch on Miranda other than being 0-1 against the OHL this year. Sorry, Miranda fans. Oshawa, the Oshawa Generals. Oshawa, you had your success. You had a great deadline. Play young guys and opportunities. I don't think playoffs are going to be a thing in Oshawa this year for the first time in a long time. So I think you play your young guys, similar to Brampton, who's in 9th place. And I'll probably echo this statement with Brampton, and we heard it from Zach Bodenstein at the deadline show. Play your young talent, continue to develop. Oshawa has done a good job at developing young talent. You look at Owen Griffin from year 1 to year 2. Now to year 3, he's popped. Okay, who's next now for the Generals? Who is next? Who do they bring in at the draft? Is Sam Roberts the guy next year that pops? First round pick from last year? Look for the expectations for him at the end of the year here as we drag things out here in the second half of the season, right? Like, is he going to get opportunities? Is he going to be the guy that pops next year like Owen Griffin did? That's the one thing to watch for the Oshawa Generals. Who's that next star in Oshawa to get you back to the postseason and get you back in J. Ross Robertson Cup contention? That's my thing for the Oshawa Generals. Brampton Steelheads, play your young talent. Play your young talent and draft your young talent. They haven't been good at drafting. Zach Bodenstein mentioned that on the deadline show, BC, about the draft, right? Their draft, they haven't really had guys to stick. So can they do that here? Hope so. I mean, that's just kind of their opportunity. But I think if you're the Brampton Steelheads, you've lost 6 in a row. You're 1-9 in your last 10. What do? Power play would be nicer to get going, but where they are right now, they're 4 points out. But I don't know. It'd be nice to push for that. It'd be nice to push for the playoff spot. Naturally, I know I'm telling my guys, if I'm JR, I'm telling the guys we're pushing for a playoff spot, but you need the draft. You have to have a good draft. But right now, if I'm Brampton Steelheads, I'm developing the young guys that I have right now, and I am continuing to push the Sudbury Wolves and in for that playoff spot to give my young guys that opportunity in the postseason, which they deserve in any franchise as well. The postseason is a different animal. Every kid deserves that in the OHL to play for the Memorial Cup and the J. Ross, the best trophies in the league and in the world. But the Sudbury Wolves. We'll get to the 8th spot in the Eastern Conference. Sudbury Wolves. I mean, they had the best deadline they could have. They needed this deadline last season and possibly the year before. They got that this year. They acquired J.C. Lemieux, who came there and was on a tear right away. You saw the impact. They've won 2 games in a row. They defeat Rwanda to go 3-0 for the OHL over the Q. Big win for Sudbury. Huge win. Put the banner on the Wolf and have it fly across the ice there for the next home game in Sudbury. Celebrate that thing. No pun intended. But I just think Sudbury get in the playoffs. Get J.C. Lemieux, some of these guys you acquired, some playoff experience. I love the year Artem Gonchar is having, 32 points in 41 games. Brandon, as a defenseman, as a rookie defenseman in the Ontario Hockey League, is something special to watch for. And they have a special one there in Sudbury and Gonchar alongside of the guys that they've acquired at the deadline, these young talent that they needed to do. Great ads for them. Find the Sudbury Wolves, get into the postseason, continue to develop these young players. Give JC, give Gonchar these chances here to get in the postseason and really beef up their stock as they approach NHL level scouts and go to the professional hockey ranks as well. Kingston Frontenac's 7th seed right now in the Eastern Conference at 42 points. If I'm the Kingston Frontenacs, man, I tell you right now, if they could score a power play goal, if they could score a goal on the power play, they'd be right there with North Bay. I mean, North Bay has 48 points. Kingston has 42. Like, if they 12.4% on the power play are the Kingston Frontenacs. If the Kingston Frontenacs were at 16%, which is not very good, if they were at 16%, it would still be dead last in the Ontario Hockey League. At 16% would still be dead last. But you get that extra 4%, where would they be in the playoff? Where would they be in the standings? They'd probably be 2 points up on Niagara, where they're just 2 points behind the Niagara Ice Dogs right now. Like, you're nipping at the heels. If you can have better special teams, you're probably better than what your record is right now or where you are in the standings. So if you look at that, if I'm Troy Mann and staff, you have a great penalty kill, get the power play up. You don't take a lot of penalties. You have a great opportunity to possibly fight, maybe not for home ice in the first round, but a chance to get in that 4 or 5 seed. And that's a great opportunity for your young players as well, for a team that just sold in the Eastern Conference. But we'll get to the 6th spot. The Niagara Ice Dogs, BC, 44 points, 6-3-1, 1-0. They just beat the Brantford Bulldogs on Sunday. A huge win for the Ice Dogs. That's huge. And a team that ever since that losing skid that they had in December is playing a lot better hockey. And I guess, Brandon, I want to ask you this question. Obviously, their power play needs to get better at 17.1%, because you imagine if the Ice Dogs power play was at 20%, you're probably right there with North Bay, right? Just 4 points back. You imagine that?
Would be. Yeah,
you
and I mean,
3 points higher.
You go winless in November, right? Like, it's tough.
Yeah, exactly. You imagine if your power play, though, was 3% higher. And to speak for these other teams, BC, as you cover the Ice Dogs, you see this. Now, we talked about these other teams, right? We talked about Guelph. We talked about these other teams. If your power play, remember that situation, or say, hey, the second period, you get that power play and you don't score. And it's like, oh, now I wish we had that, right? Talked about it with the London Knights. For the Ice Dogs, how many times does that happen? And 2, is this recent success? I know the trade deadline for them picking up 2 high caliber defensemen is huge. It's huge. But is the recent success of Ryan Robrick very, very crucial of why they're playing so well now?
Yeah, and Riley Patterson as well, even though he's been out of the lineup for the last 3 games. But, those 2 guys are by far the 2 offensive catalysts for the team. Obviously, Ethan Zada as the captain plays more of a two-way shutdown role, doesn't have it maybe as many points as those guys have, but he's still valuable. But, as he's taken over the C from Kevin He, that's an adjustment as well. But yeah, you look at guys like Patterson and Robrick to continue to lead the way offensively for that team. And they have, and Robrick has really turned it on the last month and a half. I think, once we get to the end of the season, central scouting rankings, I wouldn't be shocked to see him in the top 15 again, because he really is taking a step. He had a good prospects game, even though he didn't have any points. He could have had 3 or 4 in that game. So I think, when he's engaged, and he has been, more times than not in the last 2 months or so, you can see why scouts were so high on him coming into the season, right? Like, big body, can skate, has a great shot. Like, you can't teach that kind of size and speed in the NHL. So I think the Ice Dogs will go as far as that duo of Riley Patterson and Ryan Robrick will take them. They need that depth scoring, but picking up those 2 guys in the back end, Chromiak and Wang, was obviously big. And they moved out picks, but Frank Evola has a plan, and we got to let him play it out here.
Evola plan, trust the plan, I guess. Yeah, I guess that's another one too, right? For Niagara, trust the plan, right? And I think the plan's been positive so far. And it hasn't even been a year yet, right? This is the first season of Frank Evola in charge at the helm. Like, trust the plan. I think that the Ice Dogs, they look good. They got 3 guys up front that are dangerous. They have 2 high caliber back end defensemen now, right? Like, and you have 2 great goaltenders. I think the 2 goaltenders in Niagara are a very underrated duo. Yermolenko, I think, is one of the most outstanding young goaltenders in the league, where I think he's the next Owen Flores for them. I think next year he has that capabilities to really be the guy to where the Ice Dogs want to go for it. Hey, they have a good goaltender. Maybe if you can get Wang to stay for another season, right? If you can get, obviously, Chromiak's graduating, but if you can get another good young defenseman, you get an opportunity. You get that opportunity, right? So great opportunity for the Ice Dogs. They look great their last 10, 6-3-1. They've looked, and they've been in games. Even their losses, I think, is the big thing with the Ice Dogs. So even when they lose games, they've still been in games. They've still been in tight games, which is all you can ask for. At least you're not losing 8-1, 6-0. Like, at least you're not losing those games. You've been in games. You lose 1-0 to Peterborough on Saturday night. Like, what are the odds, right? Like, without Riley Patterson, you think about the difference maker like that in the game, what happens? And one more topic on the Ice Dogs. The Ice Dogs, speaking from, and I don't want other OHL fans to be mad at me right now. I don't want to be biased. But speaking from a Brantford Bulldog perspective, I know the Bulldogs didn't play good on Sunday at all, but the Ice Dogs in the past, and maybe even a month ago, the November Ice Dogs even would have packed in shop the following day after playing the night before in Peterborough like that. I've talked about it post-game on the Bulldogs about how hard that back is. You come from Peterborough to Niagara. The time you get home 2-3 in the morning, back to your house, billet houses, the time you get there, it's 2-3 in the morning. The time you get unpacked at the arena, it's a tough trip. It's a tough trip. You come back after losing 1-0. And in the past, that Ice Dogs team the following day would lose 8-2. They would. And correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon, but we're seeing more of a mature level here in their game. Like, I know the game was what it was on Sunday, but I thought in the past that was a game, especially against Brantford / Hamilton for that matter. But in the past, that was a game they would lose 8-2 after a back-to-back like that, especially being on the road the night before in Peterborough.
Yeah, it's trusting the process that Chris Barch talks to us every game about. It's
Passionate
been,
guy too. Good head on his shoulder.
It's been really tough, this season trying to implement that new system, and it's worked for some players and hasn't worked for others. Some players that are no longer here, maybe, but they've brought in players that they think that they can play well in the system. So again, whether it works is remained to be seen, right? Like we haven't even seen a full season of it, but obviously Chris Barch and Frank Evola have a plan of how they want the team to play. And right now they're still playing good hockey, even though you trade out, your team captain. You think, where are they going after this? But they're still playing
after their
really good
past
hockey.
captain trades.
Yeah. Well,
it's been great.
I think we can move on to North Bay now.
The North Bay Battalion, 5th place in the Eastern Conference, 23-17-2, 48 points, 6-4 their last 10. 17.4% on the power play, 76% on the penalty kill. Two things for the North Bay Battalion that I need to focus on. They have great goaltending, so I'm not focused on that. Special teams, big one. And they got to get the individual. And maybe they don't. Maybe this isn't a problem. Maybe I just think it's a problem. They got to get the individual scoring up. It's starting to get better. It is starting to get better. The pickups they had at the deadline, I've been a big fan of their deadline. I thought that was what the Peterborough Petes should have did, but Petes are working just fine as well. But I think the North Bay Battalion, you get your special teams up, you get home ice in the first round. I think it's that simple. If you get your special teams up, they're 3 points back of the Peterborough Petes with a game in hand on the Petes. Get your special teams up, you get your penalty kill to 80%, another 4%. That's a lot at this point in the game. It's a lot. Get your power play up another 3%. You get home ice in the first round. With the goaltending they have, the toughness of playing in that arena, easily you get home ice in the first round. You get your special teams up and get maybe the individual points up as well. But hey, maybe that's not an issue there. Maybe that's not an issue, and maybe that's just me nitpicking. Anyone from North Bay, let me know if that's just me thinking that, and maybe Colin, be quiet. Forme la bouche. But maybe that's the problem. But I think that the North Bay Battalion, I think that they get their special teams up. They get home ice in the first round easily as they get into that 4th spot in the Eastern Conference. Hey, currently in the 4th spot, the Peterborough Petes, 51 points, 3 points up on that battalion, by the way. The Peterborough Petes, and mention their deadline, how it surprised the Walton deal. But here's the thing. Peterborough's situation, I had a good discussion about this. They were in Brantford on Friday evening. Getting that home ice in the first round, having to go deep in the first round and possibly winning a round and going to the second round. Look at that opportunity that gives them. Look at the chances, right? Like, look at the revenue that they bring in. Look at the more sellouts. You see the difference between first round and second round in the OHL. That's when the buildings start to sell out. That's when it starts to feel like, hey, playoffs for some markets, right? Pete's have a great market there, but that's another thing, too, that goes between buying, right? You get your penalty kill up. They're the 4th spot. They're a tough out in the playoffs with these. That might be the best goaltending matchup in the playoffs. Easton Rivers, Mike McIver. That would be an unbelievable matchup, unbelievable series. I really hope that happens because what a playoff hockey series that would be in Peterborough and North Bay if they meet in the first round of the OHL playoffs. But the Peterborough Petes, simply, they're going to score more goals with the Walton ad. Just got to give it some time here. It's only been a week and a half since the deadline. So the Petes, get your penalty kill better. Your penalty kill improves. Get into the 80%. Get home ice in the first round. You're playing with house money. Be a tough out in the second round. That would be a heck of a season for the Petes in the Eastern Conference and in the OHL standings overall as well. The Brantford Bulldogs, third in the Eastern Conference, 66 points. 1 point back. The Ottawa 67s for first at 67. No pun intended. The 6-7 thing is over in my mind. So we're not gonna acknowledge that, BC in the clouds. But 66 points for the Bulldogs, 37-5-1. They're on a 6-game point streak, 7-2-1 in their last 10, 32.8% on the power play, 81.2% on the penalty kill. The thing is, you got to stay healthy. You have to stay healthy. Every game right now, they have a new guy out of the lineup. And, I mean, Sunday's game, Jake O'Brien returns after missing 10 games. Who comes back the next day? Who's out that day? Adam Bannock. Every day, there seems like there's a new player out of the lineup. They got to get healthy. If they're healthy, it's the best. It's by far the best roster in the OHL, possibly in the CHL. You see where they are on this week's power ranking. They're 1 point out of first place. Get healthy. Go on a run. Perhaps they're saving themselves for the playoffs when it matters most. Just got to get in. They're probably going to get in. Let's be honest. They're going to make the playoffs. So I think that right now rest is a priority for them, but they got to get healthy. If they can get healthy, by my expectations, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be the top team in the Eastern Conference at the year's end for the regular season. So that'll do it for the Bulldogs. Second, the Barrie Colts, who are the red hot Barrie Colts, by the way. Points in 10 straight games, 62 points. Look out, just 4 points back of the Brantford Bulldogs, 5 of the Ottawa 67s. Hey, they go to Brantford on Sunday at TD Civic Center. That could be a big game. Just a tad. 28, 10, 2, and 4. My easiest thing for the Barrie Colts. My easiest thing. Like face-off winning for the Brantford Bulldogs, they got to win face-offs. 2, they have to limit shots on goal. They give up so much shots. They give up so many shots on goal in a game. Since the deadline, they've been great. They average the most shots against prior to the deadline, right? So you got your core there. You got Bodwan playing good. You got Hemming playing good. You got Aitchison playing good. He's going to smash every Barrie Colt defense record for scoring this year. If I'm the Barrie Colts, limit the shots on goal. You could possibly win the OHL regular season and win the Hamilton Spectator. Without a doubt, you could be number 1 in the Ontario Hockey League standing. You can continue to do what you're doing 1,000%. Limit shots on goal against, play the percentage, be better analytically. You do that, you're going to be successful more often than not. And they've already showcased that here on this stretch of 10 straight games with a point. 9-0-1 in their last 10 games. Incredible work there by the Barrie Colts with their first year head coach there as well. The transition that was desperately needed, as I spoke about last year. Hot topic of mine, Brandon, as you know, in the clouds. My opinion on the Barrie Colts last season, they make the transition. Look where they are. No surprise. Ottawa 67s, the 1 spot right now, 67 points, 32, 9, 1, and 2. They've won 4 games in a row, 2 over Gatineau. Well, that makes it 3. So 3-0 over the Q. And Gatineau is already out of the Eastern Conference playoff picture. They've been eliminated from the website. So tough one. We'll remove them from the draft lottery for next week. But Rwanda could possibly be on there if that continues. But the Ottawa 67s, get the power play up. 20% right now. Get the power play up. You have a damn good team there. They're going to be tough to play against on the forecheck. Such a tough hockey team to play against. Big, they're strong, they're physical on the forecheck. You can do that. You're going to be successful more often than not. So that's why the Ottawa 67s are in first place. Continue to be tough on the forecheck, and you will ride off into the sunset in first place into the end of the season as well. The OHL power rankings to round out the show. Hour and 17 minutes deep, BC. Thanks for holding on here. Holding on to the fort, and I don't go off on a rant about the Denver Broncos because let's ride. But this week's power rankings, we'll start at 16. The Sarnia Sting stay the same. The Saginaw Spirit stay at 15. The Guelph Storm drop 2 spots from 12 to 14. They go to 14th. The Sudbury Wolves go up 1 to 13th. The Kingston Frontenacs drop 1 to 12. The Niagara Ice Dogs go up 2 to 11. The North Bay Battalion stay the same at 10. The Peterborough Petes drop 1 and go to 9th. The London Knights go up 1 to go to 8th. The Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds stay the same at 7. The Flint Firebirds drop 4 to go to 6th, the biggest drop of the week. The Kitchener Rangers go up 1 to 5th. The Barrie Colts go up 1 to 4th. The Windsor Spitfires go up 1 to 3rd. And the Ottawa 67s go up 1 to 2. And the Brantford Bulldogs stay at 1. Brandon, here's my power rankings. It's always a topic of discussion. You see it on your screen on YouTube right now for those watching. Honorable mention on the horizon, the Flint Firebirds. It's just because of recency bias. Talk about this every week for those who understand.
-4 was crazy to me, but
big time. No, big time. Big time. But hey, that's where I have them. I have them 6. I just think recency bias is the power rankings. Not speaking on behalf of the OHL, but when I do my power ranking, it's off recency bias. Because if you're doing it off long term, well, then, yeah, no kidding, it's not going to change. But if a team loses 2 in a row, but they're 6 points up, they've lost 2 in a row, and the other team's won 2 in a row. It's recency bias. That's the point of the power rankings. That's why the Firebirds are right on the horizon for me. And I had to put Windsor in there. When you look at their last 10, when you look at Kitchener's last 10, I had to put them in there. So my power rankings, Flint and Sioux, just on the outside looking in. Someone had to be 6th and 7th. That's the Flint Firebirds and the Sioux Greyhounds. For me, though, 5 this week is the Windsor Spitfires. They've won 2 in a row. They've been great. They are 5th to me. 4, the Kitchener Rangers. They've won 5 in a row. They have points in their last 6. That's why I have them over Windsor. That's why I have Kitchener 6 games in a row with a point. They've been red hot. 8-1-1 in their last 10 games. Pretty good 4th spot right now in the Inter Hockey League and in my power rankings as well. All Eastern Conference the rest of the way. BC, the Barrie Colts come in at 3rd. 9-0-1, right? In their last 10. 10-game point streak. They're playing their best hockey right now. That's an automatic 3rd spot in my power ranking. 2 for me, it's very close between 1 and 2. It always is. I think this is the closest year it's been between 1 and 2 because last year London was just so good and just never had to change. But to me, right now, the Ottawa 67s are the 2 spot. What's Gatineau? It's not an OHL team. I don't know what that's consideration or not, but to me, I don't take that into consideration at all. It's not an OHL, so I don't really mark that into my power rankings. And 2, I just think the Brantford Bulldogs are the better team. So 1 for me, the Brantford Bulldogs, I think they're better than Ottawa. So 1 Brantford, 2 Ottawa, 3 the Barrie Colts, 4 the Kitchener Rangers, and 5 the Windsor Spitfires are my top 5 power rankings with Flint on the horizon and Sioux tucked into that 7th spot for myself. But fun one this week. Reese should be back next Tuesday evening. So that'll be great to have Reese back and continue the discussions of the OHL hockey season because it's been a great year and another hour 20 show solo. Throat's feeling it. BC, as always, thank you for producing, making me look good here with this nice filter on my screen. As always, uglier in person. Thanks, BC, for the help. As always, subscribe right here on the bottom of your screen. You're watching on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel below at the Armchair GM Sports Network. Subscribe there to scan that nice QR code there. And hey, possibly up in the top left corner where your favorite team likes to score goals. Check out that merch store as well. There's some nice apparel there for all brands, Armchair GM Sports Network as well. You can see everything, the OHL and 60 podcast there as well. Subscribe wherever you're listening to your podcast. Subscribe. We like it. It makes us feel all bright and bold inside. So do that. Make our day. And as always, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.